The emergency room at Metro General Hospital was buzzing with its usual controlled chaos at 2:47 a.m. on a Tuesday night. But what happened in the next 30 minutes would expose a level of medical discrimination so shocking that it would end one doctor's career forever and remind everyone why some battles are worth fighting, especially when a child's life hangs in the balance. 8-year-old Tyler Washington had been running a high fever for 2 days, but tonight was different. The fever had spiked to 100 degrees. He was struggling to breathe, and his single mother Keisha knew she had to get him to the hospital immediately. With no car and no money for an ambulance, she had carried her son 6 blocks through the rain to Metro General's emergency room. What she didn't know was that the attending physician on duty that night, Dr. Richard Brennan, was about to make a decision that would change multiple lives forever. And what Dr. Brennan didn't know was that his choice would be witnessed by someone with the power to end his medical career with a single phone call. Keisha Washington burst through the sliding glass doors of the emergency room, her 8-year-old son Tyler limp in her arms, his small body burning with fever. Rain dripped from her hair as she rushed toward the triage decks, her heart pounding with the terror that only a mother watching her child suffer could understand. "Please," she said breathlessly to the nurse at the reception desk, "my son needs help. He's been sick for days and tonight his fever spiked. He's having trouble breathing." The nurse, a middle-aged woman named Patricia, looked up from her computer screen with the practiced efficiency of someone who had seen countless emergencies. She took one look at Tyler's flushed face and labored breathing and immediately understood the urgency. "Let me get you checked in right away," Patricia said, reaching for the intake forms. "What's your insurance information?" Keisha's face fell. I don't have insurance right now. I lost my job last month, and I'm still trying to get Medicaid approved for Tyler. But please, he really needs help." Patricia's expression softened with understanding. She had seen this scenario too many times. Hard-working parents caught in bureaucratic gaps, watching their children suffer while paperwork sat in government offices. "Don't worry about that right now," Patricia said firmly. "Let's get Tyler seen by a doctor first. That's what matters." She led Keisha and Tyler to a small examination room, where Tyler was placed on the examining table. His breathing was shallow and rapid, his skin hot to the touch, and he seemed only semi-conscious. Patricia quickly took his vital signs and documented everything with the urgency the situation demanded. "Dr. Brennan will be with you shortly," she told Keisha, though something in her tone suggested she wasn't entirely confident about that promise. Richard Brennan was in his 15th year as an emergency room physician, and in his mind he had seen it all. But more than that, he had developed what he considered a practical approach to emergency medicine, one that prioritized paying patients and looked skeptically at those who couldn't prove their ability to cover medical costs. When Patricia handed him Tyler's chart and explained the situation, Brennan's first question wasn't about the child's symptoms or vital signs. "Insurance status?" he asked, not looking up from the chart. "No current coverage," Patricia replied. "The mother said she's between jobs and waiting for Medicaid approval." Dr. Brennan sighed and set the chart down. "Patricia, you know we can't take on charity cases without proper verification. The hospital has policies about this kind of thing." Patricia stared at him in disbelief. "Doctor, this is an 8-year-old child with a Henry 104-degree fever and respiratory distress. This isn't about charity. This is about emergency medicine. And emergency medicine requires payment," Dr. Brennan replied coldly. "We can't treat every person who walks in here without insurance. Tell them to take the child to the county hospital. They handle these types of cases." "The county hospital is 40 minutes away," Patricia said, her voice rising with frustration. "This child needs immediate attention." Dr. Brennan looked at her with the condescending expression he typically reserved for people who questioned his medical judgment. "Patricia, I understand you want to help, but we have protocols for a reason. No insurance means no treatment unless it's a life-threatening emergency that requires immediate intervention. A child with a 104-degree fever and breathing problems isn't life-threatening enough for you?" Patricia asked, her professional composure beginning to crack. "The child is conscious and responsive," Dr. Brennan said dismissively. "Transport to county won't kill him. but treating uninsured patients without proper authorization could kill this hospital's budget. What Dr. Brennan didn't know was that his conversation with Patricia was being overheard by someone who had the authority to make his medical license disappear with a single complaint to the state medical board. Sarah Chen, chief of medicine at Metro General, had arrived at the hospital for an unscheduled late-night visit to check on a patient from an earlier surgery. She was walking past the nurses' station when she heard Dr. Brennan's callous remarks about Tyler Washington, and something about the situation made her pause and listen more carefully. Dr. Chen had spent the last 3 years working to eliminate exactly this kind of discrimination from Metro General's emergency department. She had implemented policies, conducted training sessions, and made it clear to all staff that emergency medical care was not contingent on a patient's ability to pay. More importantly, Dr. Chen had a personal reason for caring about this particular case, though she didn't realize it yet. As Dr. Brennan continued to argue with Patricia about hospital policies and payment protocols, Dr. Chen decided to intervene. She approached the nurses' station with the authority of someone accustomed to making life-and-death decisions. "Brennan," she said, her voice carrying the unmistakable tone of command, "I couldn't help but overhear your conversation about the pediatric patient. What seems to be the issue?" Dr. Brennan turned around, clearly surprised to see the chief of medicine at the hospital at nearly 3 a.m. "Chen, I didn't expect to see you here tonight. I was just explaining to Patricia that we need to follow proper protocols for uninsured patients." "And what protocols would those be?" Dr. Chen asked, though she already knew the answer and wasn't going to like it. "Well, the child doesn't have insurance, and the family can't demonstrate ability to pay, so I've recommended transport to county where they can handle charity cases." Dr. Chen felt her jaw tighten. "Brennan, are you telling me that you're refusing to treat an 8-year-old child with a high fever and respiratory distress because of insurance status?" "I'm following hospital policy," Dr. Brennan replied defensively. "We can't provide expensive emergency care to every person who walks in here without coverage." "Show me where that policy is written," Dr. Chen said, her voice dangerously quiet. Dr. Brennan shifted uncomfortably. The truth was, there was no such policy. Federal law required emergency rooms to stabilize patients regardless of their ability to pay, and Metro General had always followed those guidelines. Dr. Brennan's refusal to treat Tyler was based entirely on his own prejudices and assumptions. "I'd like to see this patient myself," Dr. Chen said. "Patricia, which room?" "Room 3, Patricia replied immediately, relief evident in her voice. Dr. Chen walked toward the examination room, and Dr. Brennan reluctantly followed, clearly uncomfortable with the direction this conversation was taking. When Dr. Chen entered room 3, she saw Keisha Washington sitting beside the examination table, holding her son's hand while he lay motionless, his breathing labored and his skin flushed with fever. The sight of the sick child immediately triggered Chen's medical instincts, but it also triggered something much deeper. As Dr. Chen approached the examination table and got her first clear look at Tyler Washington's face, her world seemed to stop. The high cheekbones, the shape of his eyes, the way his hair curled at the temples, all of it was achingly familiar. Because Tyler Washington was her son. Chen had placed Tyler for adoption when he was 6 months old, during her residency when she was a single mother, with no family support and no financial resources to provide the kind of life she wanted for her child. She had chosen Keisha Washington, a young woman who worked as a nurse's aide and who had promised to love Tyler as her own. The adoption had been open, and Dr. Chen had followed Tyler's progress through photos and letters over the years. She knew about his first steps, his first words, his love of dinosaurs and his fear of thunderstorms. But she had never seen him in person since the day she had signed the adoption papers 8 years earlier. Now, her biological son was lying sick on an examination table in her own emergency room, being denied medical care because a doctor under her supervision had decided that an uninsured child wasn't worth treating. Chen fought to maintain her professional composure as she approached Tyler's bedside. "Mrs. Washington," she said gently, "I'm Dr. Chen, chief of medicine here at Metro General. Tell me what's been happening with Tyler." Keisha looked up with desperate hope. He's been sick for 2 days with a fever, but tonight it got much worse. He was having trouble breathing, and he seemed confused. I know I don't have insurance right now, but I'll find a way to pay. I just need someone to help him. Chen placed her stethoscope on Tyler's chest and listened to his breathing. What she heard confirmed her worst fears. The child was developing pneumonia, and his condition was serious enough to require immediate intervention. Brennan, she said without looking up from Tyler, this child has pneumonia and is showing signs of respiratory distress. His condition is serious and requires immediate treatment. But the insurance situation, Dr. Brennan began. The insurance situation is irrelevant, Chen interrupted, her voice sharp with authority. This is a medical emergency, and we are legally and ethically required to provide care regardless of payment status. Dr. Brennan looked confused. But you said in the staff meeting last month that we needed to be more careful about taking on cases that might not be covered. I said we needed to improve our billing procedures. Dr. Chen corrected him. I never said we should refuse emergency care to children, and I certainly never said we should violate federal law by refusing to treat patients based on their ability to pay. She turned to Patricia, who had been standing in the doorway watching this exchange with growing satisfaction. Patricia, I need a pediatric respiratory panel, blood cultures, and chest x-rays immediately. Start an IV with fluids and get respiratory therapy down here for a nebulizer treatment. Right away, Dr. Chen. Patricia said, clearly relieved that someone was finally taking Tyler's condition seriously. As Patricia hurried to carry out the orders, Dr. Chen turned her attention back to Dr. Brennan, and the temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees. Brennan, I need to speak with you privately, she said. Mrs. Washington, we're going to take excellent care of Tyler. Patricia will get everything started, and I'll be back to check on him in just a few minutes. Dr. Chen led Brennan out of the examination room and into an empty office nearby. Once the door was closed, she turned to face him with an expression that made it clear his career was about to take a dramatic turn. Dr. Brennan, she began, her voice measured but containing unmistakable steel. In my 3 years as chief of medicine, I have worked tirelessly to ensure that this hospital provides excellent emergency care to every patient who walks through our doors, regardless of their race, economic status, or insurance coverage. Dr. Brennan shifted uncomfortably. Dr. Chen, I was just trying to be practical about. You were refusing to treat a critically ill child because his mother doesn't have insurance. Dr. Chen interrupted. Do you understand that this violates federal law, hospital policy, and basic medical ethics? I didn't think the case was that serious. You didn't bother to examine the patient, Dr. Chen said, her voice rising slightly. You made a decision to deny care, based solely on insurance status, without ever laying hands on the child or conducting any kind of medical assessment. Brennan's face was growing red with embarrassment and fear. Dr. Chen, I apologize if I made an error in judgment. This wasn't an error in judgment, Dr. Chen said firmly. This was medical malpractice. This was discrimination. And this was a violation of everything we stand for as physicians. She walked over to the office phone and picked up the receiver. I'm calling the state medical board to report this incident. I'm also calling our legal department to discuss the hospital's liability for your refusal to treat. And I'm calling human resources to begin the process of terminating your employment. Dr. Brennan's eyes widened in panic. Dr. Chen, please. I've been here for 15 years. This is just a misunderstanding. This is not a misunderstanding, Dr. Chen replied coldly. This is a pattern of behavior that I've been hearing about from nurses and other staff for months. You've been making treatment decisions based on patients' ability to pay rather than their medical needs. She dialed the extension for hospital security. Security. This is Dr. Chen. I need an escort for Dr. Brennan. He's being suspended pending termination, and I want him removed from the premises immediately. As Dr. Chen made the call, Dr. Brennan realized that his medical career was effectively over. 15 years of emergency medicine, countless patients, a salary that had allowed him to live comfortably, all of it was disappearing because he had refused to treat a sick child. But Dr. Chen wasn't finished. Brennan, she said after hanging up the phone, before security arrives, I want you to understand something. The child you refused to treat, Tyler Washington, is my son. Dr. Brennan's face went white. Your son? I placed him for adoption 8 years ago with Miss Washington, who has been an extraordinary mother to him. Tonight, you decided that my son's life wasn't worth saving because his adoptive mother doesn't have insurance. The magnitude of his mistake was beginning to sink in for Dr. Brennan. Not only had he violated medical ethics and federal law, but he had done so in front of the chief of medicine while refusing to treat her own child. Dr. Chen, I had no idea. It shouldn't matter whose child he is, Dr. Chen said firmly. Every child who comes into this emergency room deserves the same level of care, regardless of who their parents are or whether they have insurance. A knock on the office door interrupted their conversation. 2 security officers entered and approached Dr. Brennan. Brennan, the lead officer said, we need you to come with us. As Dr. Brennan was escorted from the hospital, his medical career in ruins, Dr. Chen returned to Tyler's room to find Patricia and the respiratory therapist working efficiently to stabilize his condition. How is he? Chen asked Keisha. The breathing treatment seems to be helping, Keisha replied, tears of relief in her eyes. Dr. Chen, I can't thank you enough. I was so scared when that other doctor said he couldn't treat Tyler. Dr. Chen sat down beside Keisha, choosing her words carefully. Miss Washington, Tyler is going to be fine. He has pneumonia, but we caught it early enough that antibiotics and supportive care should clear it up completely. Thank you, Keisha said simply. I know I don't have insurance right now, but I promise I'll find a way to pay for this. Chen looked at Tyler, who was already breathing more easily thanks to the nebulizer treatment. Mrs. Washington, don't worry about the payment. The hospital has programs to help families in situations like yours. The important thing is that Tyler gets the care he needs. What Dr. Chen didn't tell Keisha was that she intended to personally cover any costs that the hospital's charity care program didn't handle. She also didn't mention that she was Tyler's biological mother, though she found herself studying his face and marveling at how much he had grown. Over the next several hours, Tyler's condition improved dramatically. The antibiotics began fighting the infection, his fever came down, and his breathing returned to normal. By dawn, he was sitting up in bed and asking for breakfast. Chen stopped by the room one final time before her shift ended. Tyler was awake and alert, his eyes bright with the resilience that only children possess. How are you feeling, Tyler? She asked. Much better, he said with a shy smile. My mom says you're the one who helped me. A lot of people helped you, Dr. Chen replied, but the most important thing is that you're feeling better. She turned to Keisha. Mrs. Washington, Tyler can go home this morning. I've written prescriptions for antibiotics that he'll need to take for the next 10 days, and I've arranged for the hospital pharmacy to provide them at no cost. Dr. Chen, you've done so much already. It's what we're here for, Dr. Chen said simply. And Mrs. Washington, Tyler is lucky to have a mother who cares enough to carry him 6 blocks in the rain to get him help. That kind of love is the best medicine any child can have. As Dr. Chen walked away from Tyler's room, she felt a mixture of emotions she had never experienced before. Relief that her biological son was safe and healthy. Pride in the young woman who had raised him with such obvious love and dedication. And satisfaction that she had been able to use her position to ensure that Tyler received the care he deserved. But more than anything, she felt a renewed commitment to ensuring that what happened with Dr. Brennan would never happen again at Metro General Hospital. The story of Tyler Washington's treatment and Dr. Brennan's firing spread quickly through Metro General's staff. Within days, everyone knew that the chief of medicine had terminated a 15-year veteran doctor for refusing to treat an uninsured child. The message was clear at Metro General Hospital: every patient would receive the same level of care, regardless of their ability to pay. Brennan's medical license was suspended pending investigation by the state medical board. He was never able to practice medicine again, and the incident became a case study in medical schools about the importance of ethical treatment regardless of patients' financial status. Tyler Washington recovered completely from his pneumonia and returned to being a normal, active 8-year-old boy. Keisha eventually found a new job with health insurance, but she never forgot the kindness that Dr. Chen had shown during one of the scariest nights of her life. And, Dr. Chen, she continued to watch over Tyler from a distance, knowing that she had given him the greatest gift possible, a mother who would carry him through the rain to save his life, and a hospital system that would never again turn a child away because of money. Sometimes the most important battles are fought not on grand stages, but in emergency rooms at 3 a.m., where the simple act of treating a sick child becomes a statement about who we are as human beings. Tyler Washington's story reminds us that healthcare is a human right, not a privilege, and that sometimes it takes someone in power to stand up and ensure that right is protected, especially for those who can't protect themselves.